I recently got tired of working on my game. I got tired of seeing the Unity UI, fiddling around with my code and just doing the typical regular game dev work. I was losing my momentum and focus. Some people swear by the no 0 days rule. The idea is to make progress on whatever your goal is every single day, for example moving closer towards a finished game. While this may work for some people and some goals, I don't think it works well for me and my game project. I get the idea that an unmotivated start to a small task on a lazy day may turn into a productive and focused work session, and that there's value in continuous perceived progress even if you just end up posting a screenshot, marketing your game, you know? But I personally find it much more satisfying to get into a focused state, making meaningful progress. And most importantly, you also won't be able to take your mind off the things that are starting to annoy you, so you can clear your head. After all, that's why we have weekends. Okay, I'm sure that's not true, but that's why weekends are really valuable. You can stop thinking about work or school and you get to do so for more than just the evening, so you can hopefully detach and recharge and later return with a fresh mind. So I took a break, a vacation away from Unity and my game code, and I spent some time around the rest of game dev land. And this worked out great for me. I just recently went back to working on the game and I feel refreshed and a lot more focused and motivated. So I'd like to share with you a couple of side quests I went on, nicely packaged into a YouTube-friendly tips format, of course, hoping that you'll draw some inspiration here and there in case you ever end up in a similar spot. Maybe you're even there right now. Don't take this too seriously, these are just some ideas that worked for me. So even before you check out, drift away, zone out, and mentally float away from your project, there are a few low-effort things you can do to make your life easier later on when getting back to your game. Bring your project into a somewhat clean state. Get rid of any errors or warnings, try to finish the latest task you were working on and back up your latest version. That type of stuff. It'll make it easier and more enjoyable to get back to the project later. For example, I had started to create an asynchronous scene manager, which was a pile of brittle and dysfunctional code, so I cleaned that up and I'm glad I didn't have to get back to it later. Related to this, roughly organize your tasks, ideas and to-dos if you haven't yet. I finally put together a Trello board, nothing over the top, just a high-level overview and notes on some ideas and tasks. I'm pretty forgetful, and without any such notes, I probably wouldn't have any recollection of ever even working on a game. So better keep some records. Anyway, what kind of tool do you recommend for a smaller solo project? Trello seems to be the way to go for most game devs. I also tried out Codecks, but I think it's more suitable for teams and larger projects. Another small thing that worked for me, I chose a specific task to tackle once I started Unity back up. Ideally, that task should be well-defined, not too small, not too big, and it should be something you'd consider interesting and fun. So in my case, definitely nothing that requires any kind of UI work. Anyway, I picked the task and even gave it a special label, and again, this made getting back into the project easier because I didn't have to figure out what to do next and the task sounded fun. Specifically, I wanted to improve my railway switches. A lot of you have told me they're not obvious enough, so I'm trying to make it easier to tell which part of the railway network is currently active and reachable from any given switch. I don't want to get into it too much, but here's a before and after, let me know what you think. But back to taking a break. With the main quest ready to return to later, let's get to the actual side quests. Of course, these are just some things I did. You should do whatever you'd like to do, and that could mean being lazy and lying on your couch, or on your floor. These tips are just meant to serve as inspiration, and I'm curious to hear what you like to do to refresh your motivation. Let me know. Find and read a game dev book, or any book. But this is a game dev channel, so I started reading The Art of Game Design by Schell, which I've heard a lot of good things about. I'm not even close to finishing it, but it's a really enjoyable read so far, and it's already given me a bunch of new ideas and inspiration. If you have any other book recommendations on a game dev related topic, put them in the comment below. Something I really hadn't paid much attention to and wasn't exactly excited to get into was setting up developer accounts to release on track and all the related officialties like making a website or writing a privacy policy. So I finally spent some time setting up a Play Store developer profile. And I know, strictly speaking, this is work on my game, but it's very different from the regular work in the engine and on the code that I got tired of. Anyway, I also almost set up an account for the Apple Store, but got a little discouraged by the $99 fee. So I've decided to start out with an Android version, and if that goes well, I will also release an Apple version. In the end, I'm happy I got started on this stuff, actually completed some of it, and got an overview of any remaining action items. It also got me motivated to finish my game, so I can eventually click that release button. Anyways, setting up a developer account also got me thinking about a mini pre-release test phase that I'd like to do. So if you'd potentially be interested in playtesting OnTrack once it's reached a somewhat stable and playable state, that would be incredibly cool. Feeling all official and professional with my developer account, I figured I'd set up a mailing list. So check the link in the description below to sign up, and I'll let you know once I'm ready for you to destroy the game and when it gets released, of course. By the way, if you're thinking about setting up your own mailing list, I chose Substack. It's not one of the classic mailing list providers, and it's a bit more limited in functionality according to the internet, but it's more than enough for my use cases, and it's completely free as long as you don't charge your readers for what you send them, which I definitely don't have any intentions of doing. An obvious one. Of course, I spent some time playing other games. Since I started my own game dev journey last year, I've gotten so much more interested in smaller indie-style titles or games with less common concepts, interesting art styles, or unique ideas. Unfortunately, I can't play them all, but I got into Carto and The Witness, which are both puzzle games, each with a different art style I really like. I also started playing Patch Quest, which is a cute monster taming exploration roguelite made by a fellow indie dev. I've been following his devlogs for a while, and it's exciting and inspiring to see how fun and polished the game has turned out. It's even got local multiplayer and an explorer mode for untalented people like myself. You can find a link in the description if you want to check it out as well, and let me know about any niche or indie games that you found inspiring or motivating for whatever reason. I couldn't really be bothered with any Unity upgrades in the past weeks, so why not use the time to get it over with? But not so fast. The real tip here is, Unity upgrades can break things, so back up your project before upgrading. I had to go back to my old version after ending up with this mess and not being able to fix it. So I've decided OnTrack is just gonna be released on an outdated Unity version. That said, I did update all the other tools and packages I use, finally getting rid of some super annoying error messages caused by a bug in the addressables package. I assume most of us have a lot more game ideas than time to actually produce complete games. A break from a game can be an excellent opportunity to organize, develop, and research your ideas. Of course, there is a risk that this will just distract you from your current project and cause you to drop it in order to work on the new Breath of the Wild you just invented. On the other hand, the advantage I see is that starting the thought process early will give you time to realize which of these ideas are maybe not that great after all. And that could be for a variety of reasons that you may only realize by considering and, more importantly, reconsidering your idea over a longer period of time. I ended up dismissing a 3D game idea I've had in mind as I started to take notes and gauge the scope. It was completely undoable. So what's the worst or most undoable game idea you've discarded? By the way, I'm dropping a gazillion questions on you in this video, but I'm genuinely interested in all of these things and would love to hear from you. I actually don't know any other game devs personally, so making videos has been a great way to connect with the community. Speaking of which, we've now crossed the 500 subscriber threshold, which is just incredibly cool. I've gotten tons of helpful feedback and very friendly and supportive comments. So I guess here's a bonus tip. If you're considering making a little devlog channel or something like that, go for it and try it out. I was very hesitant at first, but like I said, my experience has been extremely positive. Emily K made a great video on her channel on why you should devlog. I recommend watching that. So thank you all for subscribing, or if you're not subscribed, thank you for subscribing right now, but only do so if you're friendly, otherwise don't. And that's enough fluff. Next tip. I would love to make some background music for OnTrack myself. I do have some experience playing and producing music, but not at all in a style that fits the game. I'd like something minimalist that blends into the background and doesn't distract you because the game actually requires a surprising amount of focus. So I've started learning about synthesizers and researching tools. If possible, I like being able to work on some things away from my desk and PCs, so I tried out some tablet apps that actually turned out surprisingly versatile and easy to use. Again, this is technically work on my game, but it's very different from the regular dev routine, so I was happy to explore the topic. I didn't manage to come up with a finished sound I like or even a full song, but I'll report back once I have something. Let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations and how you approach making music for your game. Yet another question, I know. Finally, and this is a pretty specific activity and not really a tip, I made and released a little tutorial series on how to use data structures to your advantage in your game code. I felt like trying out a new style of video, I had fun creating them, and I hope they're useful to some of you. So like I mentioned, taking a break ended up boosting my motivation, and at this point I'm back to working on the game. I just recently added simple scene transitions, fixed a few bugs, and gave my train colors an overhaul in an attempt to make them more easily distinguishable and also colorblind friendly. Maybe some of you can let me know if that worked. So the main takeaway is really, take a break if you want one, and do something that inspires and excites you.